When my husband and I stepped out of the car, the air buzzed with excitement. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law couldn't contain their enthusiasm, bombarding my husband with questions about this sleek luxury car we had arrived in. "Hey Paul, what's with this amazing car? Glad you're finally joining our side of society." They teased him, suggesting that buying such a bold, luxury vehicle was a newbie move. Amused, my husband chuckled and dropped a bombshell. "This isn't my car, it's Jasmine's father's." The simultaneous gasps from my in-laws echoed as my parents stepped out of the car, dressed to the nines. The sight left my in-laws in absolute shock, wondering why Jasmine's parents were adorned in such expensive attire. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Jasmine, a 28-year-old office worker, happily married to Paul. Our life together is harmonious. We share household chores, support each other, and generally revel in the joy of marriage. However, lurking in the shadows of our happiness are my in-laws, who persistently assume I'm financially beneath them, raining down insults and belittling me at every turn. This prejudiced mindset stems from the first meeting, where my in-laws ridiculed my father's small factory business, deeming it unfit for their high standards. Despite the insults, my husband and I stood strong, but the resentment lingered. Even when my parents were targeted, we weathered the storm, maintaining our composure. Yet my in-laws, unable to accept our lifestyle, continued their taunts. They poked fun at my family's financial situation, questioned my brother's job, and laughed at the idea of my family's modest success. The mockery reached its peak during our infrequent visits, forcing my husband to intervene and put an end to their relentless comments. Despite the persistent attacks, I chose to persevere in my marriage because my love for Paul outweighs the negativity. My in-laws' attempts to force themselves into our lives, commenting on our apartment, questioning our choices, and even peeking into our fridge without permission, only added to my daily struggle. Depression loomed as our home became a battleground, invaded by my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who relentlessly belittled and threatened me. Yet my husband, though annoyed, couldn't completely sever ties with his family. The question that remained: how on earth could we navigate this toxic family dynamic and find peace in our own haven? My in-laws, relentless in their pursuit to belittle me. Facing the incessant attacks, I reached a breaking point and decided to pass the time at a cafe until my husband finished work, seeking refuge until I could go home with him. However, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, like persistent shadows, continued their verbal assaults, mocking me for taking away Paul's freedom. Enduring this mental torture, my husband, utterly disgusted, went to his father for help. Unfortunately, my father-in-law echoed the same prejudiced sentiments, reinforcing the belief that a poor wife was an oddity for them. Realizing that our marriage was on the brink, I resolved to take a drastic step, my last resort to reclaim my peace. A few days later, my husband and I decided to visit my in-laws. We informed them that Paul would be taking his wife home, triggering an unexpected wave of joy among my in-laws. The tables turned as my mother-in-law, seemingly elated, expressed happiness at seeing me after a long time. The irony wasn't lost on me when she called me a wife-beater, a stark contrast to the insults I endured outside our home. As we arrived at my in-laws' house, the déjà vu played out. Excitement filled the air as they questioned Paul about the luxurious car, assuming we had joined their societal rank. However, Paul, with a wry smile, revealed that the car belonged to my father. The shock on my in-laws' faces intensified as my parents stepped out, draped in expensive suits, leaving them perplexed. Adding to their bewilderment, my tall and dashing brother, Simon, emerged from the car, adorned in the same high-end brand. My in-laws, frozen in amazement, were introduced to a side of my family they had never seen. Faced with this unexpected transformation, my husband couldn't resist a scathing remark, urging them to give my family a tour of their house. Inside, my in-laws hastily changed their tone, inviting my family with politeness. Inquisitive about my parents' attire, they were met with an unexpected revelation from my father. He explained the uniqueness of the parts his small factory produced, with orders from prestigious Japanese and foreign companies. The color drained from my in-laws' faces as they grappled with this new reality. As my father-in-law remained silent, my sister-in-law redirected her attention to Simon, bombarding him with questions about his work and making a bold, albeit inappropriate, move by expressing interest in him. The power dynamic shifted, and my in-laws found themselves facing a different narrative, one that challenged their preconceived notions and forced them to reassess their judgments. In all honesty, I couldn't help but be impressed by Jasmine's incredible mental strength and audacity. Although I admired her, I decided to let my sister-in-law experience the consequences of her actions. My brother, looking at me and nodding, decided to join forces in this plan. "You're a funny girl, Simon. Are you seriously claiming to be more desirable than my wife?" My brother's words cut through the tension, pointing out the absurdity of my sister-in-law's arrogance. He reminded her that wealth and social standing don't determine a person's worth, urging her to follow a solid path and acknowledge her own size. The impact of my brother's words left my sister-in-law in a stunned and groggy state, on the verge of fainting. Finally, my father stepped in, emphasizing the importance of humanity over an obsession with money. He apologized for their previous behavior, bowing his head in regret. Since that incident, my family-in-law never attempted to bully Jasmine again. In fact, they went the opposite way, regularly contacting her and seemingly repentant. Notably, neither my parents nor my brother are the type to flaunt luxury brands or boast about wealth. They simply cooperated with the plan, wearing their usual clothes. My father, uninterested in luxury, prefers the same suit he's had for a long time, even if it's not expensive. My brother, known for his kindness, doesn't mock people and is well regarded by his wife's father. The incident took a toll on everyone, but on our way home, we felt relieved, returning to a peaceful married life. Since then, I haven't visited my in-laws, but my husband makes occasional visits during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Surprisingly, my in-laws seem to have changed their ways. They no longer brag about their wealth, and according to my husband, interactions with them have become more comfortable. While I'm uncertain if they'll revert to their old ways, I'm grateful that the problem has been successfully resolved. I remain committed to caring for my husband and family, aiming to live a modest life. Mounting the poor proved to be an ill-fated endeavor for my in-laws, who should be reflecting on their actions. I believe it's essential to live each day with family harmony, free from the need to demean others.